Hey guys, Isaac Eicher here. I'm finally back from a really long trip abroad and kind of back in the swing of things and now starting to do some more YouTube videos. My family and I, we went to Colombia, where my wife is from, for about a month in February until the beginning of March. And in the middle of that, we did the Mexico mandolin retreat. So we went from Colombia up to Mexico, and it was such a huge success. We had 18 people fly down to Mexico and we had an amazing time. I'm getting ready to make a video kind of like compiling some footage, some videos and pictures of that event. And a really exciting news as well, we are going to be doing a jazz guitar retreat at the same place in Mexico in October. So very soon on my website, I'm going to have information about the Jazz Guitar in Mexico music retreat. But for now, I wanted to put together a video really talking about some different scales and what I call harmonic palettes, things that I use in, if it's, bluegrass kind of playing, but then I also, in this video, I talked about some things with like the melodic minor, harmonic minor, and natural minor. So if you guys are digging my channel, please hit subscribe and you'll be able to see when I'm posting new videos, either performances or little lessons like this. So talk to you guys later. Hey guys, so I want to make this video to talk about some of the scales that I use for different styles of music that I play. Basically, here are some different sounds that I like to do. One sound that, it's very common musically speaking, like in Western music, that, it definitely, when it comes to mandolin players, you have some mandolin players that are better at doing this type of sound. It's a little bit more modern. The first idea is playing over a major 7 chord, right? So basically, if we're playing over a major scale, like if we were talking about like the D major scale, which we all, I'm sure, are familiar with the D major scale, that's open D, and then you're playing the 2nd fret, 4th fret, 5th fret, and then the same thing on the next string. So basically, that sound, you can approach that in different ways, but a really beautiful way to do that is where you're highlighting the major 7, so the C sharp note. So this is just to give you guys some examples of what that type of sound is. If I'm playing over a D major, but I'm highlighting that major 7 sound, I'm definitely playing arpeggios. So you can see I do stuff like this, where I started on an A, which is in the arpeggio, right? So then I played the C sharp, which I'm including in that arpeggio. Then I just play a half step up, play my root note, resolving to that, and then I keep moving up the arpeggio, right? So that type of move, there I did it even up another octave. So I'm playing this, I'm playing the arpeggio, but I'm also including the root note. So I'm playing the major 7 with that root as well. If I do something where I come down, I go up at that same arpeggio, and maybe I come back down. There, I finally threw in another note. I put a B in there. There, I'm just using the scale as well. So that's the kind of phrasing that, I'm extrapolating from this major scale. I'm using the arpeggio, I'm using, highlighting that major 7 note, but I'm also utilizing other notes from the scale, just scale notes. And then you're kind of packaging it or presenting it in a way you can make it sound modern. And definitely I try to put in when I'm riffing over like a major 7 chord, which I've talked about this in other videos too, but I think it's important to know that, oftentimes I'm creating patterns on the fly. I mean, a lot of the things that I do are it's part of my vocabulary, that it's like a go-to move that I have, but I'm definitely, inspired by the moment, and I will take an idea and then turn it into a pattern. So is the major 7 sound. Let's talk about something different. So still with that major scale, you could be really playing, kind of highlighting this other sound, which would be like the major pentatonic. And I know I've talked about that in another video as well. So that major pentatonic sound is really, if you think about like D major, you can think about the song Angeline the Baker. So the melody is... So all of those notes are in the D major pentatonic. So if I just take that same D major scale and I played the D major pentatonic notes, that's 1, 2, 3, the first note, the second note, the third note of the scale, and then I'm going to skip the fourth, the G note. So leave that out. You're going to play the A, you've got the B note, and then if I go up to D again, that was already in the beginning of it, so that's not really adding like another note. Pentatonic means that there's 5 notes in that scale, so I'm going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? But those the scale tones, so I'm playing like the first note, the second note, the third note of the scale, the fifth, and the sixth, but that's 5 notes. So if I played something that's more along those lines, that's really that kind of harmonic palette, I'm not really highlighting that major 7 sound anymore. Maybe I'm really highlighting that the 6th note, that B note. See, and sometimes I am throwing in these little ghost notes. I did this type of thing. I just did a pull off to get that F natural, like kind of a bluesy sound. You can do the same thing up here on the B note with the C natural. So that sound, you know, you could even play more simple lines, like maybe... Just kind of, that was definitely like a more of a traditional bluegrass vibe. But let's talk about some other scale ideas, sounds that I use when I'm playing jazz, for instance. A really common sound is the melodic minor. So this comes up in gypsy jazz and really just in jazz standards like classic jazz, like swing and bebop as well. So the easiest way to think about melodic minor is that if you had a D major scale to start, you know, we already looked at that. The only note I need to change to make it melodic minor would be the minor third. The third needs to be minor. So we've got, that's a great start to a minor scale, but then the second half of it is going to be the notes of the major scale. Now, to give you a little bit more of an idea, like when I'm riffing, I'm doing a lot of the same things as before. Really, like when we talked about playing over a major 7, this scale also has that major 7 note, but we just have to make sure it's a minor scale. It's got that minor third. So I'm really following the same types of ideas, creating patterns, arpeggiating. I am throwing in scale notes just to have that variation and create twists and turns. But if I did like a similar idea as earlier with the major 7 scale, but minor now, so it's minor major 7. There, I'm starting to throw in some other notes. That type of idea I do all the time, where I am basically enclosing the root, the C sharp and the E, so I got the major 7 and then that 9, that, you know, like a whole step above the root. That's just super useful. You know, it happens everywhere in music, and it's just part of, you know, that vocabulary you need to have just when you're like playing over any given scale, to be able to kind of use those notes around, you know, from the same scale that we're talking about. But so we were talking about the melodic minor, and then we said, well, that's like minor major 7 when I'm arpeggiating. There's another very useful minor scale, which would be the harmonic minor. So we talked about melodic minor. Now harmonic minor means that that 6 needs to be flatted. So we would have like, that's all the same. And now we're going to play a B flat, and then we'll play a C sharp in D. And to me, this one immediately gives me like this vibe of like gypsy music, or like even like Eastern, like Middle Eastern sounds. Just like specifically that scale, when it's played, those notes are played in that order. The interesting thing about this though is like, because I really use both the melodic minor and the harmonic minor and the natural minor, like alternating depending on the circumstance, because they all give you slightly different sounds. So in jazz, you know, if you're playing like over maybe a gypsy jazz thing and it's a D minor, but when I want to go to, you know, there's a lot of different chord changes you could go to that you would want to have that B flat note. So one example, like what I just did, was a scale implying that I'm playing over an A7 with a flat 9, with a B flat. So right there, if you are playing over like melodic minor, now when I go to like an A7, the 5 chord with a B flat note in it, so it's an A7 flat 9, really I can call upon that like harmonic minor scale. But then I'm arpeggiating the rest of the scale. I'm using the notes that, because from that scale I can extrapolate or pull out these notes that'll give me the A7 with a flat 9, right? That B flat is the flat 9. Now, we didn't really talk about the natural minor sound. That one is definitely useful as well. So natural minor is where you're going to have the 6th note, so B flat as flat, and then the 7th is going to be flat as well. So that's a C natural. So if that scale is... So where is this useful? I mean, definitely this gives you like more of like a minor pentatonic sound. Because it's got that C in it, right? But we also have that B flat note. So in this context, you know, if I'm like soloing over jazz changes, it's super useful when you go to that A7 with a flat 9 to play that C note as well with the B flat, and that's called a sharp 9. So just some helpful tips.